All right, everyone. Welcome back to the 10PDC podcast. It is I, Coach Gino, back with my purple belt and cameraman Mark. Mark, give him a shout.
What's up, everyone?
All right, welcome back. So we just fresh off of our latest podcast with Bryson Davis. If you guys didn't check that out, check out the last episode that we posted up on the channel. We got a lot of events coming up, and we got a lot of news today to cover, so let's dive right in, okay? So, again, it is February 3rd, 2023, Double Jordan year, or Double Jordan Day, we'll call it. The newsletter is coming out shortly. We got some fight news coming up for some of our fighters. Bryson, again, we talked about it last weekend on the pod, but he's going to be fighting on March 10th in Visalia for the 559 events. So, if you're interested in coming out to Visalia, California to check out those fights, it's by Fresno. If we got anyone out there who's in that area, come on out, check it out, support, and buy tickets so you guys can come check out Bryson in action. Following that, next week, on the 18th of March, I think we have Logan Diaz fighting on another event as well. So we're waiting to hear back from the matchmakers on that. So 2 fights coming up in March. Sorry, it's not 2/3/23. It is March 3rd. 2023. I'm mistaken. So it's March 2nd, 2023. I got the dates all mixed up here. Okay. So yes, it is March, and we are looking into the next couple of weeks with some action. We got a few other things coming up around the gym. You guys have noticed over at the gym, we've put up few more frames for the trophy cases. If you guys have medals or anything you guys want to put up on the trophy cases, bring them by to the gym. We can put them up, and you guys can have your trophies out at the gym for everyone to see. If you guys have noticed around the gym, we've been getting busy. We've been getting a lot of people going. Make sure you guys are helping out with the staff, helping out to clean up after yourself, return all the gloves, return all the equipment. That's something that's really important with our gym, is that we keep everything organized so things don't go missing. Let's try to make sure we keep it clean. Clean up after yourselves. Double check if you've forgotten anything. If you have forgotten something, let us know. You can reach out to us in any way so that we can save it. We got the lost and found going. If you guys don't have your stuff claimed, we're dumping that stuff by the end of the week. We got to make sure we got to keep that thing clear out. We don't want to pile up too much stuff at the gym. So make sure, guys, just help us out. Keep it clean. Keep it friendly with all your stuff. And just be mindful of your neighbors who are coming in to train in the next session. They don't want to come around finding your gear and in your stinky sweaters or stinky shirts on the ground. Let's make sure we help each other out. So on that, with other stuff for the gym, just make sure you guys are helping out. We're growing fast. The gym is continuing to progress. Make sure you guys are doing your parts to help us out and help us with the growth. If you guys can leave us reviews, if you guys can spread the word, bring in referrals, we appreciate it. We'll have some promotions coming up soon so that we can get you guys some rewards if you guys are coming out with these referrals. And I really appreciate those who have been sharing the news of our gym with their families and friends and loved ones. And even though training may not be for everyone, it can be useful for everyone. We can make sure everyone at least gets a little bit out of the training sessions, whether they continue or whether they just do it for a temporary amount of time. Let's spread that love of martial arts. Let's spread that self-defense mindset that we need to make sure everyone understands, and make sure everyone gets to have an opportunity to get their training in. With those who are doing the yoga program, we've talked about this before. We've talked about injury prevention, and we've talked about helping people to try to recover from practices. So we've talked about a lot of things. Shout out to Shift Movement, one of the companies that is a local company in Daly City. They helped me out with a chiropractic session. So I'm hoping to get them into the gym soon and to give us a little bit of that knowledge about, how the body works, how to prevent injuries, and how to properly rehab from injuries. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that once we finalize the dates and everything with the Shift company. But if you guys want to check them out, they're in Westlake and Daly City. Shift, SHFT. I believe they're on Instagram currently as well. Let me find their handle for those who want to look them up. But again, a local chiropractic group that is looking to help us out with, just in general, movement and mobility work and injury prevention goes hand in hand with combat sports and martial arts, especially the ones that we do, because they're very physical. Our martial arts require a good level of fitness so that you can progress to the next level. So Shift Movement, it's at Shift Movement, SHFT_movement. So check them out online. They are up and running, again, in Daly City, California. And I'm very happy that they were able to reach out and get me some work. I went in personally and tried them out, and they were really helpful. They gave me a lot of information that I can go home and work with and use, so I can work on preventing injuries in the future for myself and my particular body type. So with that, again, you guys who are all injured or are trying to avoid injury, you guys got to, again, prioritize that time to recover, prioritize that time to rehab, prioritize that time to strength train, because those are the important factors in this game. Is if you want longevity, you got to have some time, and depending on how intense your workouts become, you need to have an equal amount of, not necessarily equal amount, but a proportional amount of strength and fitness and conditioning to make sure your body stays in shape. You don't need to have all your time focused on strength and conditioning. You need that time to work on technique and working on the understanding of the movements and the strategies, fight IQ. But you need to also prioritize the time to have some strength and rehabilitation. Time to recover, go get massages, all that good stuff. And there's a bunch of ways to go about it. So don't be afraid to go look into different opportunities or different resources if you have them. Find what fits for you, whether it be yoga, whether it be chiropractic, whether it be through strength and conditioning, mobility work. The list goes on and on and on. And we can talk about all that stuff as well. If you guys have questions about it, I'm always around to chop it up about what's going on for the latest in research in strength conditioning and recovery, because that stuff is continually evolving. There's a lot of different mindsets around it, but it's very good to just educate yourself somewhere, and then you can start building off of that. You can just start learning a little bit of how the body moves, how the body is. Sometimes I'm looking at this stuff like I'm looking at anatomy and looking at science of how the body moves and how it works, and it gets super deep, and it can go over your head a lot of times. Get some guidance, get some experts out there who can at least talk to you about it, and they can give you their expertise. I think that's a very, very important factor that we can all utilize. So make sure you guys, again, check out those resources that you got around the gym. Plenty of trainers, a lot of guys who work on rehab. Shout out to all the guys who helped me in the past. Hapa doing TAC Fit in Oakland, and the 10th Planet Oakland crew have that regularly. So Hapa's been doing that over in the East Bay. We've got a lot of guys. Who else is out there? And Mark, you work with anyone right now? I know you've been doing strength and conditioning, but you haven't been doing anyone specific, have you?
No, I would like to go to Jeff, but he scares me a little bit.
Jeff. Shout out to Coach Jeff. Jeff Esquire is a boxing coach, helps Bryson out with his strength and conditioning. Yeah, definitely. Don't be intimidated. I know Jeff is a good coach, but Jeff's the homie. And again, we'll get Jeff one of these days on the pod. I know Mark's been talking about getting him on. So shout out to Jeff out there.
Shout out, Jeff. Come on the pod, dude.
El Jefe. Okay, let's get him out. Let's make it happen. So a lot of other things coming up around the gym. We'll post you guys up as we'll keep them posted up on the boards and everything for the news. Competition wise, we got a few competitions other than the MMA, Muay Thai fight, Jiu-Jitsu competitions. March. What's the date on the Santa Cruz Open? It's April, I believe, right? April.
Yeah, I think April 22nd or 23rd.
April 22nd, April 23rd. We've got, I think it's a 2-day event, Santa Cruz Open, IBJJF rules tournament. We also have Jiu-Jitsu World League that same day. For those of you who are competing, on the IBJJF, make sure you guys are properly prepared. Make sure you guys have the proper gear. IBJJF is particularly very picky on the gear and what you wear. Make sure you understand the rules and what they need. With the folks who are doing Jiu-Jitsu World League, that's most of the white belts. Since the IBJJF tournament does not allow or is not having white belts in this tournament, it's blue belts and up, the white belts who want to compete, you have the opportunity to go out to Stockton for the event, for the Jiu-Jitsu World League event, the Santa Cruz Open, obviously in Santa Cruz. So we'll be figuring out who's going to help out each team. We'll have some corners, hopefully, for everyone. And I hope everyone has a good time prepping for that as much as going to the event. Make sure you guys are in the gym now, getting your drills in, getting your work in, practicing all the movements you need to practice to hone in or work on your disciplines. And ask me if you guys have any questions about your game, anything you guys want to work on, just reach out. We can get you guys prepared. We get the right reps in. We can make sure you guys are focused on specifics for your game, particularly. A lot of times in class, there's stuff that's just general for everyone. But if you want to really get your competition level to the next step, make sure you ask those questions. Make sure you're there, you're present in the training room, and you're able to dissect all these technical aspects of your game. Okay, so I think that's enough from the gym's announcements. Mark, is there anything else around the gym we had to announce for everyone?
I'm all good here.
Okay, so combat sports news. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We didn't get to dive too deep into it. But starting off at the top of the page, we got Gordon Ryan and Felipe Pena, the super fight matchup that we unfortunately did not get to see, the rubber match. I actually believe Felipe has beaten Gordon twice, right? And in a points rule set. And Gordon Ryan obviously won that last no time limit event with Felipe. And they were going to run it back a fourth time, I believe. Again, correct me if I'm mistaken, Mark. But this is the fourth time they were supposed to match up in a no time limit rule set. Unfortunately, Gordon Ryan had to pull out due to injury. I'm not sure what happened. I think he got something wrong with his stomach, or he had some diarrhea problems. And then he literally was too weak and claims to be too beat up, like physically, and too sick to compete. So, who knows? He could be, by all means, it could be legitimate. He's had stomach issues in the past, and we've seen that happen with Gordon. He's on another level physically now. He's gotten bigger. We thought that was kind of past him, but unfortunately, it looks like something's going on with him. He needed to take care of that. So, Nicky Rodriguez, former teammate of Gordon Ryan, steps up to face Felipe Pena for this match and gets the really close submission attempts on Felipe Pena, but unfortunately doesn't do enough to get the judge's decision. Really close on the leg locks, but Felipe seemed to be positionally more dominant, and unfortunately didn't get the nod. Nicky didn't get the rod on that event, but a lot of respect for those guys. I think they had a lot of respect for each other. Gordon and Felipe obviously have their drama, so do Gordon and Nicky, but it is what it is. We'll see when that event gets matched up, but that was unfortunately postponed for another time, and Felipe was able to at least step up and compete against Nicky. Felipe looks solid, but when it comes down to that no time limit rule set and that matchup, we're going to see how that goes. If Felipe is really claiming that he's gotten as good as he's gotten, we could be anyone's game. Gordon Ryan got the slight edge, in my opinion. I think his attacks and his understanding of the legs, understanding of the technical aspects is just really deep, and his youth. If he can just stay in shape and stay healthy, hopefully, I think he'll get the nod, but really it's anyone's game depending on who comes in and how they come in. I think Gordon, if he was legitimately sick, I think it's a smart move to step back and not force yourself to try to go in and match up when you're compromised, especially with a high stakes event like this. Go in at your best and make sure that you're not putting yourself in a place where you're going to have to make excuses, quote unquote, afterwards and say why this happened or why that happened. Go in at your best. So Gordon Ryan and Felipe to be determined on the next event for that one. Oh, also the news on the past fights. We have the crazy event on Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury event that happened, I believe, last week, if I'm not mistaken. Mark, did you guys catch those? No.
I didn't know.
How about the Gordon and Felipe? I didn't ask your thoughts on that. Any thoughts on that fight?
I didn't get to see it either.
Man, okay. Well, we got Tommy Fury and Jake Paul. This fight, I didn't get to watch either of these events, honestly, as well, but I'm just kind of relaying the news. Jake Paul, Tommy Fury. Tommy gets knocked down in the fight once or twice, but it sounded like Tommy was able to get the decision win because he just outboxed Jake Paul. And it's crazy to see now Jake Paul is under a imperfect record, quote unquote, in boxing. It's very, very boxing and in general in America, they're very big on that undefeated record. Jake Paul's got a 1 loss on his record. Dude made a lot of money, and I'm sure they're going to do the rematch again, so it's not the end of the world. But just crazy to see now Tommy Fury, a legitimate boxer that people may claim that he is decent or subpar, but he was able to do enough to get the nod and beat Jake Paul for the first time. And we're going to see that rematch. We'll see if Jake Paul can adjust. But, it just goes to show you there's levels to this game. When you got a real boxer in front of you, when you got a guy who's born into the sport and a guy who's really been training all his life, it's a whole nother level than a retired MMA fighter or a retired basketball player. Boxing is such a very technical sport that some people don't understand the levels to. So if you come in this sport and you in boxing specifically, if you come into that sport and you try to prove a point, once you meet someone who's the real deal, Holyfield, you're gonna get rudely awakened. Jake has definitely done the training. He's done the work to be called a boxer, but he's just not a born boxer like Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury is a born boxer. He came into his family. It's in his blood. His father did it. His father trained him, and they've helped him. Look at his brother, world champion Tyson Fury. He's been on top of the world for a minute now. So you got to respect the boxing purists out there. You got to put your hands up and just sometimes say, all right, they got it. But, Jake Paul, like a true champion, he wants to come back and run it again. Obviously for that money. I mean, you'd be silly not to. So, looking forward to that rematch. Another boxing news, another wild event that is, let's look at the events moving forward now. We've got Jose Aldo apparently matching up against Floyd Mayweather. If you guys are not here, Jose Aldo is claiming that Floyd Mayweather has agreed to an exhibition boxing match in 2023. And though it's exhibition, Jose Aldo says he's going to try to knock out Floyd in this fight. So excited to see that. Papers haven't been signed, no posters or anything, but we will see. Another one, Bare Knuckle FC has announced their next card, and it's a bunch of retired MMA fighters. Very interesting. We got Mike Perry and Luke Rockhold at the top of that card, along with Chad Mendez and Eddie Alvarez co-main eventing that. So, wild event. I don't know why these matchmakers are making these outsized guys. Rockhold is clearly much bigger than Mike Perry. Mike Perry, a 170-pounder. Luke Rockhold, the 185 champ. And then you got Chad Mendez, a 145er, fighting the 155 champ, the former 155 UFC champ Eddie Alvarez. So it's just crazy. These matchmakers are just getting lazy with it sometimes, and I don't know who came up with it. Definitely, probably still will tune in, but it's just funny to see how mismatched these size differences with these fighters. Interested to see that. I'm not really sure who's going to win either of those fights. Bare Knuckle FC is a whole nother rule set, a whole nother game. Fighting bare knuckle with those cuts, how quick they happen, and how quick these guys are like just lashing at their faces. With bare knuckles, you don't have that padding, you don't have that leather to protect your bone from clashing into the skull as much. I mean, they wear a little bit of wrapping, but it's really bare knuckle FC. So crazy to see that matchup coming forward. Looking forward to that. Mark, who you picking for those fights?
Got to go with the bigger guys.
Big guys. Rockhold?
Yeah, and Eddie.
Yeah, I think size makes a difference in this. We will see. Chad Mendez is a little demon. He's fast. He's quick. That one I may have Chad. Chad looks nice, actually. I mean, taking it back. Eddie is not really as known to be nice with his hands, but Chad has got that speed. But Mike Perry and Luke Rockhold. Actually, I might have to take that back too, because I think Mike Perry got the experience on the chin, and Luke Rockhold, that glass chin, you got to be careful of. You cannot, actually, Luke Rockhold's last fight showed us that he's still got a good spirit and heart, but, with Mike Perry, he got that power, he got that speed, and, in boxing, a lot of times the little guys win. Just look at Manny Pacquiao in his career. Little guys with speed. Speed is the killer in boxing, and speed is much, much more important when it comes down to striking than power and size, because it's going to be a very interesting matchup. I'm looking forward to seeing who wins that. I am not paying for that event, but I will see the results and report back to you guys for that one. Okay. Other upcoming news, unfortunately, for Team Scrap Pack. Shout out to the Scrap Pack and everyone. Carrie Melendez is out of her fight on March 10th for the Bellator event. On that Bellator event, Adam Wamsley, the Bother, representing NorCal Final Alliance, is also fighting on that one. So he will be representing for the Cesar Gracie fight team and all the homies out there for NorCal. Unfortunately, Carrie suffered a minor injury. She's not able to fight for that event, so we won't be able to see her on that same day. Though Bryson is fighting on that same event in Visalia, obviously amateur event, but hopefully we can get one for the Scrap Pack for you guys out there and represent. So looking forward to that. Now, as far as the other combat sports news, the biggest news that has been coming around, and the one that I want to dive deep in today, is the fight that is coming up tomorrow. We are just over the weigh-ins. Everyone's weighed in for the next UFC 285, John Jones versus Ciryl Gane. Now, this is going to be a huge one for those. Okay, so I want to just really dive deep on this particular fight. John Jones, former light heavyweight champion of the UFC, youngest UFC champion ever, I believe. And we got Ciryl Gane, former Muay Thai champion, high-level striker, amassed a ton of Muay Thai fights, former UFC interim champion, if I'm not mistaken, right, Mark? I think he actually is. He beat Tai Tuivasa or Derek Lewis, one of those guys for the interim belts. So he is the interim heavyweight champion. Now, this fight was supposed to be, from what everyone thought, was going to be Jones and Francis. And I believe Francis vacating the title because, no, not really vacating the title, but not getting re-signed with the UFC. He had to vacate the title to the winner of whoever Gane fought. Mark, did you see it?
It was Derek Lewis.
Derek Lewis, right? And he beat Tuivasa before that.
So it was Derek Lewis for the interim. Then he lost to Francis by decision. Then he beat Ty.
Oh, gotcha. So he's no longer the interim champion because he lost to Francis. So this is so this is no longer the. Actually, it is crazy because Jones actually was stripped of the title as well. So they're former champions, both of them. No one's got the belt. This is a fully vacated title. Jones making his first appearance at heavyweight. And let's talk about this for a moment with Jones. Jones, light heavyweight champion, obviously wrecked everyone that he met in the light heavyweight division. We haven't seen Jones in another weight class. He is a massive light heavyweight. He's a massive man in general. Long limbs, always been dangerous. I've been watching Jones since day one, and I've known his skill set is just so crazy. The main things that give him his skill set is that range, that the lankiness, the unorthodox striking. He's a very, very quick striker. He is very unorthodox. He'll throw spinning attacks, jumping attacks, head kicks, body shots, and he's just unorthodox with his striking. And his wrestling pedigree. Jones is a collegiate wrestler, and he's just a monster on the mat. Jones is a high-level student of the game. He studies the game. He knows so many ins and outs. Works with Greg Jackson. Works with Crew Phil Nurse. He worked with who else was on his coaching staff at one point? I'm not sure if Danaher was. I think he had a lot of help in his career. Just soaking in a lot of game. Obviously worked with the Jackson's crew. With George St. Pierre was out there. Holly Holm is out there. They've got so many guys that just came in and worked with Jones, and the fact that he is again just such a born athlete. His family is a genetically gifted. Like he's got two brothers in the NFL, and you know, NFL is all heavyweights. These guys are huge, and he's been wrestling with them since he was a kid, I'm sure. So you know, just that born and bred fighter style or the fighter mentality that he has, and that very stone cold kind of approach to the game is very lethal. Jones is one of those all-time greats, and at the end of his career, no matter what he's done, what he has on his criminal record and all that stuff, he will go down as one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time. There's no question about that. Now, if we talk about Gane, we talk about his skill set. You know, Ciryl Gane is a decorated kickboxer, very high level striker. Obviously has fought for the UFC heavyweight championship before. A natural heavyweight, not Jones naturally at the weight he's currently at. I think he weighed in at 240 something, right? And he's not naturally that big. I think he's emphasized him getting that big. Jones is a naturally slimmer frame. Gane is a naturally bigger frame. He's a big, lean guy, but he moves like a lightweight guy. He moves very light on his feet. He's very in and out. He's got the range. He's got a kind of a karate style of stand-up as well. With him being very technical on the stand-up, being very experienced with the stand-up, his weakness is his wrestling. The weakness is the grappling. Once it gets to the ground, Gane's answer to the wrestling, we don't know. Whether he tries to get up or whether he tries to submit, either way is going to be difficult against Jon Jones, a man of that wrestling pedigree. You cannot underestimate the wrestling pedigree. Wrestlers that have been born and bred. We talked about this on the podcast with Bryson. The wrestlers who have been out there, been training since they were just yay high. They got a very high advantage over most other combat sports athletes. With Muay Thai fighters, that's the only comparison you can think of, guys starting that young, or boxers, right? Boxers starting that young and really like finding their way to get into that level. Jiu-jitsu guys, yes, but jiu-jitsu in America hasn't been around that long. It's only, it really got popular in '93 after the UFC. But the boxers, especially out here, once they get to the UFC rule set, the takedown is just there all the time. Same thing with Muay Thai fighters in Thailand. When they come out and they face the Americans or face those with wrestling pedigrees, takedowns are very difficult to avoid in the striking stance. So obviously the strikers have a chance of knocking out anyone with one shot, but that's something to be determined, whether the wrestler has any striking knowledge or whether it has any athletic ability or just explosiveness in general. So many factors in this happen, and you're looking at Jones, who's got all that. Now, granted, Jones is now at heavyweight, and we don't know how his speed is going to be affected by his weight gain. He's gained weight, and there's no question. You guys cannot deny Jones is looking a little big on there. He's a little rounder on the waist, and we're looking at Jones, who has never been at this level of competition for heavyweight division. Obviously done a lot in the light heavyweight division. Now, Jones, no warm-up fight at heavyweight, going straight for the belt against Ciryl Gane. I think it's fitting. I mean, Jones has done enough in the light heavyweight division. Let's just move him up and go right for the title shot. Obviously, we saw what happened with Volk versus Islam. Just go ahead and let him go and let him get to that top level. We will see. We will see tomorrow night who is going to be the one to walk out and claim themselves as the UFC heavyweight champion. And with Francis Ngannou waiting in the wing, maybe for a potential return, or if not in this organization, maybe another. We are very interested in seeing what's going to happen with the heavyweight division now that Jon Jones is officially coming back. And I'm crossing my fingers nothing happens with Jon Jones fights. You never know. You never know until they're in the ring fighting that he's going to make it out there. But that last one time with that Daniel Cormier fight, that was such a disappointment. Like the day of the fight, he wasn't able to compete because he tested positive for those PED supplements. And that still is a debatable subject now, apparently, because the USADA has been changing the rules on what is considered legal and illegal in the sport. So, regardless of the manner, regardless of the controversy, regardless of all the stuff people say or do, these guys are going to fight tomorrow. We're going to see what's going on. Let me know what you guys think, whether it's before or after the fight, and I'm interested to hear everyone's take on this. So I am going to be picking Jon Jones to win this fight, and I think it probably be a very, if not a long fight, I think it'll be a very interesting fight. I think there could be a finish in this fight, with it being a heavyweight division, these shots and everything just being so intensified at the heavyweight division with the weight being thrown around. I think they're going to see a finish in this fight, and I'm thinking it's going to be by Jones. Mark, what are you predicting on this fight?
I think the same thing, but I'm just gonna flip for no reason at all. Besides, I'm just gonna pick Gane for no reason.
That's something that I'm not mad at. The Gane decision. There is a chance. There's always a puncher's chance. We know Jon can get hit. We've seen him in tough fights before. Alexander Gustafsson was the prime example. Alexander Gustafsson was able to put it on Jon Jones in the past. And Ciryl Gane being so light and so elusive at this weight with Jon, we don't know how he's going to move. He's looking a little slow on the mitts, I'll be honest. He doesn't look too fast on the mitts. He looks powerful, though, and that's the thing that makes a huge difference. It's, all it takes is one shot. Even though Jon isn't moving a lot, he is going to be having that power. And the difficult thing there is Gane got the movement and to negate that power. He's got the understanding of the striking zone and the distance. And if Jon can't close the distance and get that takedown, we may see Gane come out with a point victory. And Mark's not totally wrong about that. And I'll definitely be I definitely won't be surprised if we see that, because Ciryl Gane is a legitimate fighter, and I think he's definitely got a chance to win this fight as well. But again, I'm going to lean toward Jon just because of my the logic in my head is saying it, and I'm going to just stick with that for my prediction. But if Gane does it, all hats off to him. Another one for Paris. Shout out for everyone out there. And everyone, again, thank you all for listening to the podcast. Let us know what you guys want to hear, what you guys want to see, what you guys want us to do, and we will continue to try to provide good content for you guys. Other than that, everyone, take care, train hard, stay consistent. I'll see you guys another time.